How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Liberty Hour here, streaming through the Spreaker Studio app and the 816 Jackson AJ1 Twitter account here. I'm here with my friend Aleeyah Jade, and we were just talking about, what were we just talking about, Aleeyah? That's how brain dead I am today.
We talked about bullying and
Oh yeah,
people being stubborn.
bullying and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Everything, yeah. That shows you how brain dead I've been this week. As I mentioned earlier on the show, it has been a crazy couple of weeks for me and everything I've got going on. So bear with me on that. But coming back from break, because earlier we were talking about your YouTube channel a little bit, and why you decided to create one, everything like that. I just noticed, even though you have like 700 Instagram followers, you have a pretty darn good following on YouTube, 505 subscribers, and that kicks my ass for sure, and it definitely kicks Ricky's butt too. I know you posted a couple weeks ago about having 500 subscribers, and I wanted to ask you, obviously, as an artist, it may be a little bit easier in that respect, but what are some methods for people who are looking to start up their own YouTube channel and create a following? How are you able to do that effectively?
I would say that to really do something you love to do, because if you're just doing stuff like for everybody else, it's gonna feel more like a job than like having fun. Like if you take it too seriously, it's gonna crumble because you're gonna try to plan out everything and it won't seem natural. And then, it's kind of like not necessarily being fake, but you have to kind of enjoy it. Like don't just do it to like, oh, I can make money off this, so I'm just gonna, go on here and talk about random stuff and hope that people like it. Like it's not like that. Kind of more it's more of like a hobby, I guess you could say. But personally, that and honestly, you're gonna get a lot of hate no matter what you do. So try to focus. And it's hard because especially in the entertainment business, like, fans or like the amount of things is like the main focus for a lot of people. Like, oh, I have to have this many followers, these many subscribers, this many downloads. Because of course, it's money. But at the same time, it's it's you kind of have to focus more on the people that do follow you rather than the people that don't, because it's a lot of people will just be like, oh, I don't have enough, like I make music and I only have 500, but I'm not complaining. Like I'm like, oh man, it's not this much, and then I don't want to do it anymore, blah blah blah. You just kind of have to just do what you love, and especially if you're being yourself, people will pick up on that and they'll admire you because you're a genuine person, I
Right,
guess you could say.
and I also want to say too, I think it's much better to have a fan base, even if it's just 100 to 200 people,
Exactly.
um, and having it be loyal fan base versus having 1,000 fans or 2,000 fans that are really just checking something and don't care. I think that having a loyal fan base that cares about what you're doing is much more important than
Yeah.
quantity. As they say, quality is better than quantity.
Yeah, and you feel closer to them because you
Exactly,
connect.
yeah, because you can actually engage with that audience.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why even though I sometimes just make videos for the heck of it on my YouTube, I don't really care. I did just want to say it though, because this is the first time in probably about 6-7 months. Throw on a clapping. I don't know what you can do. Throw on some clapping sound for this. I just gained my first subscriber in 6 months. So,
Yeah.
what does that put me up to? 37? Yeah, 37. That's not bad.
You're a
All
good
right.
noodle. Good job.
Yeah. Oh, God dang it. We could go off SpongeBob memes for all day.
Oh, don't start with me. I can say every SpongeBob episode. Okay.
Well, I wanted to go ahead and go on to the next issue. And you know what? Before I do, Ricky, I'll go ahead and do it for you because you wanted me to. So screw it. Ricky wants me to shout out the condom card every other Thursday at the well because that was there today, apparently. I never noticed it, even though I have my show on Thursdays. If anybody wants to tune in, it's the SmackDown Hotel on KSSU Radio, 11 to noon on Thursdays, where I talk about everything in the wrestling world and in the sports world. But basically, Ricky said, bro, they plugged it with so many free flavored and lube condoms free, and in all caps. So, all right, Ricky, there you go. There's your shout
I'm
out. You happy
disappointed.
now? This is the boyfriend that she has to deal with on a daily basis. And this is the friend that I have to deal with on a daily basis. No, I'm just kidding, Ricky. I love you, bro. But anyways, and that's a perfect segue into what I was actually going to ask you next, Aleeyah, which
Oh boy.
is, how did you meet
Oh,
my friend Ricky? I've been my best friend Ricky. I've known him for about 7-8 years now, and I know you guys just had your 1 year anniversary. Congratulations,
yeah.
by the way. Um,
Woo.
and I wanted to just ask you. So, how did you come across? How did you end up meeting him? And then yeah, what clicked for you guys and everything?
Oh, it's gonna be crazy for you. Okay, so, it turns out my aunt lives next to his aunt, and I would be at my aunt's house like every day, and sometimes he'd be there, and we never knew each other. And then in high school, like we sat across from each other at lunch, and we never noticed each other. Like I was on the stage, and he was in front of that one classroom, and I'd even have
That's
that
where I was
classroom.
at.
Yeah, and I'd come out of that classroom and tell the kids to move because I couldn't walk, and I'd sit right across every single day and never notice him ever. Never. And then we didn't meet until I moved to North Carolina, and I saw him on Instagram. I don't remember how, but and then I saw he was making music, and I was trying to make music, so I was like, "Hey, like your music's really good." And we became friends, and then we would Skype. One time I was like, "We should Skype each other," because I was too shy to like call him or anything, and I was like, "Well, if I want to make it work, I have to like." So then we end up Skyping, and then we Skyped like every night after that, and then we didn't really say we were dating until like later on. We're like, "All right," like what, like it kind of just happened. But it was interesting because when we first started becoming friends, like we were both always talking about how we're gonna make music and be single forever. Like we weren't even thinking about relationships or anything, and then somehow it just happened.
So how long? Because I know that you guys were Skyping for a while. How long were you guys like talking to each other like online before you moved back to California?
Oh my goodness, since like what kind? Because every once in a while we'd like comment something to each other, but you mean like actually like
Actually, like
messaging or things
engaging
like
with
that?
each other and talking with each other. Yeah.
I think it was like December.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And because another thing I was going to ask you about, because I know that when when you came back to California, when you had arrived here, he was the first one that picked you up from the airport. I'm pretty sure,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So how was that experience being able to actually finally
Oh
see him in
no.
person and getting to meet him at the airport? Like how did that go? Were you like nervous? Were you guys
I
expecting
was
anything? Like how did
scared
it
out of
go?
my mind. Oh my goodness. I was like, he's gonna think I'm so short. I just woke up. I didn't even have a phone. I had an iPod because, well, I had a phone, but it didn't have any service because I had to leave my phone there, obviously. So I was, just, and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know where I was gonna find him or anything. He actually walked up to me and I didn't notice him, and he actually scared me, and I almost fell over. So that was a good impression. Um, but it was cute. He brought me stuffed animal and my favorite candy, and then we just hit it off really nicely. And of course, 2 minutes in, he's like, "I'm gonna use the restroom." I was like, "Oh." Little did I know later on that was gonna be a normal thing. Um, but yeah, and then that night he actually came over and met my parents
Oh, that's
because
cool.
we watched
Well,
we
that's
watched
cool.
Thor
Awesome.
together. Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
But it was nice.
And I know, and obviously, I know you guys have done videos together, like Q&As and stuff like that, and all. And so, by the way, one thing I did just have to say is I had an iPod Touch forever as well. I don't know if you sound like you had a phone. I had an iPod Touch until like September of last year. So my phone for about 5, 6 years before that was an AT&T flip phone, and this
I
is
had a phone that wasn't touchscreen for till senior year, so I get you.
and this can tell you how old this phone actually was. My screen saver for my flip phone was this like towel which I have in my room that I'm at right now, which is the Niners when they made it to the playoffs in 2012. That tells you how old that phone was. But it worked
Yeah.
fine. But yeah, I had to just shout that out for everybody that still has a flip phone out there. Flip phone gang. But so one thing I wanted to ask you is, and we'll get into your music here in a second too. But obviously, I know you were telling me, Ricky has his own music. He's played some of his stuff on here before, and so you guys managed to click that way. Have you guys like ever done any collabs like with his music and yours? Have you ever thought about doing any collabs? Like, tell me how you guys have managed to like mesh together with like both your music.
Funny story. Couple. It was last year. I don't know when. I want to say it was like in the fall time. He made a beat because I'm really into tropical EDM, and he made a tropical beat, and he sent it to me just to listen to it. And like instantly when I heard it, I thought of the word ocean. Like that was just the word that I thought of. I was like, oceans. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, oceans. You should call it that. And then he was like, hey, I'm gonna go pick up some from the airport. He had to pick up his family.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay. And literally an hour later, he came back and I already had like the words written for it and I already recorded it and sent it to him, like right then and there. And it's
Wow,
called Ocean.
how cool is
Yeah,
that? That's
my favorite.
awesome.
I love it so much. Yeah, it was weird. It was spontaneous. When you get inspiration, you have to like work on it right then and there, or you'll forget. And people always say if you forget, it's not important, but trust me, it's important.
Yeah, well that's great. That's pretty cool, and how quick you were able to turn that over as well. Um, oh, God. I'm sorry. I'm having absolute brain death, everybody. I forgot exactly what I was going to say because I read Ricky, who keeps interrupting what I'm saying. He comes out and said, this dude shouted out flip phone gang and is absolutely killing sometimes of what I'm trying to think. I come up with a good question in my head and it completely goes away. Oh God, I don't remember. It was going to be something tying back to your music, but while I'm trying to think of what that question is, let's just go ahead and jump into that because you have an album that I know is going to be I don't know if it's out yet or if it's coming out sometime soon. If you're still going through some stuff with it, but I know you've created multiple tracks for it, and I wanted to just ask you about music in general. Is how long have you been singing for? Did you ever like do chorus back in school? What got you into music?
All right. Well, those three questions. So the first one, I've been singing for as long as I can remember. My mom has videos of me from like when I was like 3. I would sing Red Hot Chili Peppers all the time.
Hey, I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would sing that, Heyo, that snow
Oh yeah,
song. I would
Snow.
sing
Yeah.
that like every day. When I was really young. And so I've been singing for as long as I can remember. And then I remember in high school, I remember I made this thing. It was like 8th grade summer, and I was like, if I get 100 likes on this post, I'll post a singing video. And I got a lot, so I had to do it, which is how YouTube started. So I did that, and then in high school, I joined the advanced choir, and I was in it for 3 years. And I don't know, music is just like I said, like growing up, I wasn't a very happy person, and that was one of the things that really got me through everything. And like just thinking about how I could be that voice for somebody, you know, like
Hmm.
and help people, because that's like my whole like thing in life. Like I feel like my whole purpose is to help everybody. And so like I thought, well, that could help like the masses of people, even if I've never met them, or seen them. Like just knowing that I helped them, and if I ever were to meet them, it would be such like a big connection. And that's kind of what I want to do. That's why I don't really like singing. Like love songs are cute and they're cool, but I really like to dig deeper into like, like about like just songs about like yourself. Like I don't want to say self-empowerment because I feel like that's stronger, but just like really loving yourself and really being like mental health wise. That's kind of the music I want to create. And so I don't know, so that's why I got into music and decided to make it like a real thing. Because I feel like when you're young, everyone's like, I want to be famous. I want to be an actor and a singer and a dancer. But like that's what hit home. And I didn't start really writing songs like that until high school. But yeah.
Gotcha. So that's when you started writing songs. Because I was going to ask you, when did you start creating your own songs, like creating your own content, and when did you start actually getting it produced, and what made you decide to start producing songs and releasing them and stuff like that? Just tell me a little bit about that experience.
All right. Well, I actually got noticed in North Carolina. I was making YouTube videos a lot because I had a lot more time back then. Um, and there's a lot of random people were calling me or like emailing me, but they all sounded kind of shady. They're like, I had one that was like, "We want you to be in a girl group. Come to LA by yourself. Don't tell anyone."
Oh,
And I
that
was
no,
like,
don't do that. Yeah, no.
"Yeah." I was like,
Yeah, that could be
"That's
really
not
screwed up. Yeah.
scary." But yeah, and then I got one from my producer now, and he was like, "Oh, I just watched this YouTube video of yours. It was Wolves by Marshmello, which is when I was just getting into Marshmello. So like that's why one of the reasons I love him so much."
Nice.
Um, and he was like, "It was amazing. I have some songs I think would be cool. Your voice would sound good on them. Let me know." And I was so like traumatized. I was like, I don't want to answer because what if it's another scam? So then like I didn't, and then a week later he sent me like a follow-up email. He's like, "So I just want to know if you got this or not." And then I was like, what if this is like my chance and I'm just like, throwing it aside? Because this was the least shadiest of all of them. So I was
Hmm.
like, hmm. So then I decided I Skyped him, and me and my mom talked to him, and I met him and his family. And they're really amazing people. And then ever since then, we've been making music together. And he's a really great producer because a lot of producers nowadays are like, oh, you have to look like this and act like this and sing this and change your name and all this crazy stuff. And he's very lenient with like what I do. Like he's like, just be yourself. If you don't want to sing that song, don't do it, kind of thing.
Well, that's
So
awesome.
yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I've got a couple other questions I'm going to be asking Aleeyah once we get back here. This is going to be the end of part 3. When we come back, I'll be asking her a couple other questions related to music and a couple other things as well. Stay tuned to the Liberty Hour. We'll be right back.